Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Robbie with Believe in the Run.
This is Megan with Believe in the Run.
And you're listening to The Drop, our weekly podcast about all the stuff, including some running stuff. And I'm sure there's going to be a high energy one because we've all been traveling. Megan's been racing. Robbie's been all over the place. I'm still here in California. But let's get going.
All right. So yeah, Thomas is still in California. Megan and myself are in Baltimore in the studio. Put that in quotes.
Our kitchen table, which has been the studio for the past, month and a half now?
Yeah, for the foreseeable future.
Well, no, good news.
Oh.
HVAC is getting fixed on July 1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Back to the studio, well, kind of. And then they have to fix the whole rest of the office.
Yeah. So we're getting through it though. We're doing it right.
We're getting closer.
Yeah. I will say I interviewed Nick Bear for the podcast, which came out this week. And it was such a whirlwind of things that happened that day where so we don't have the studio. Mm-hmm. We had to reschedule, I think maybe twice. You know how some people, you just know that they have a time slot and you don't want to be like, hey, how about these other days? So you're just whatever time you have, just go for it. So we didn't have a studio. That morning I had my kindergartner's graduation, which I don't know why those things exist. Why are we doing graduations for elementary school grades? Just finish school.
It's
just
tradition.
get out.
Everybody's got to feel important.
No, it is. And dude, they have they have principals awards for if you get good grades or good behavior or something. They're reading off the list and I'm going through counting all the names in the class. It's literally every kid in the class. Why let's skip this part. Just say, hey, everyone, you did great this year.
Yeah.
Move on. Anyway, so we had the graduation. I just thought all the kids were leaving because they were.
Right.
I didn't see any kids left. There's nobody in his classroom. So I'm I guess I just have to take them home. This is the same morning as the podcast. Obviously, I got interrupted a couple times, which Carl did a magnificent job of cutting out.
Way to go, Carl.
And I think the conversation was still seamless. But then I had to do it because my 5-year-old was upstairs. I had to do it in our basement, which I wouldn't say is the cleanest room in the house. My internet is the cheapest Comcast plan you can imagine. So I'm glad it even happened at all. And so every people in the YouTube comments were
they're pretty funny.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Someone was that's a major flex.
Nick's in a clean, studio atmosphere, professional lighting. And Robbie's I'm going to get down to my basement and record this.
And I also had a dress shirt on because I had come from the graduation, which I literally never wear. Anyways.
Good times. It worked out okay.
Well, people seem to be enjoying it. The podcast is doing well.
Yeah. It was a great, it was a great conversation. Pretty chill. It wasn't the tell me about your morning till night nutrition and training plan. It was more getting his story and everything. So yeah, it was fun. But yeah, anyway, so that's the whole deal with the studio. And now we've been all over. Obviously, I was in Florida last week, then basically did a 12-hour turnaround to fly out to California to meet, well, not meet, we flew out together, but Thomas, Carl, myself.
You met up with Lo, Taylor, Melissa.
Yeah.
That's your crew, right?
Yeah. Basically all members of the Believe in the Run team in one way or another.
Yeah. So, I got to see, and most of us got to see all of the highlights on social media from the whole weekend of Broken Arrow, which you guys made look really fun. Was it actually that fun?
Yeah, it was. Here's the thing. The group got along really well, and Melissa wanted to cook everything, so we always had food around and lots of it. I think we probably at the end when everybody had to book out of the other house, we had to dump a bunch of food because it was we had a bucket of pasta, we had rice, all that stuff. But
yeah,
it was just a fun environment. I don't know. When we first got here, though, I was like gassed. Like the altitude really. I guess as I'm, it didn't seem to. It didn't in the past. It didn't bother me. This time, I got up here, our first shakeout run. Literally, it felt like I'd run 100 yards, and then my heart would just start pounding out of my chest. But we got it done. Yeah. I was lucky enough to get a bird to shit on my head during the shakeout, which was fun because
Is that why you bought a lottery ticket?
No, one of my lucky numbers is 57. Our flight out here was 57. When we got a rental car, the license plate was 57, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, and then I got shit on by a bird, so I felt like it must be my time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool that happened because I don't know if that's proof that birds are real or that's proof that robots are really advanced.
Chip. That the bird, they were tagging me so they could track me on the West Coast.
Oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense now that you mention it. Yeah, I get that. I mean, people were saying that they've seen seagulls in that area or something like where they shouldn't be, and I thought seagulls were just like everywhere. Pretty strange. Maybe they were talking about like Oklahoma or something. I don't know, but I think there's more evidence that we have yet to explore. But yeah, man, the altitude, the dryness. I had a head cold. I pretty much lost my voice for the first 2 days. There's pine pollen, looked like a haze over everything. I like how I asked, was it as fun as it looked? And you guys just trashed everything. No, we're just talking about the natural elements. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing. I'm saying the altitude and everything else. The dryness. I just don't understand. Like, and maybe Thomas, you can help me with this. If you live in those places, do you have to keep drinking water your whole life? Like at all times? At all times, your whole life. You
basically have to wear. Did you see the Dune movie?
I have not, no. But someone on the plane was watching it. So that counts.
You have to wear a still suit if you live over here, which, constantly pumping water into you.
Okay. Because I found that to be one of the most annoying things is that...
You were just always thirsty?
Yeah, it just always... I always had a headache. You can drink... apparently can only drink one beer and then I'm hungover. So I'm not joking. By the end of it, I was like, I was craving humidity. I was like, just get me back. Get me back to Maryland. Wow. Give me that disgusting humidity. I feel like I need it.
You missed a good chunk of it.
With, Taylor Bodine, our trail reviewer. Mm-hmm. So he had a martini with me last night, along with Castor and Carl. And guess who didn't make it up in time to go for the 7 a.m. run?
Yeah, that's dangerous, dude, because Taylor doesn't really drink.
Have we checked on Taylor? Is he alive now?
Yeah, he's out. He's actually out doing a 19-mile run. He's probably going to make it a 20-mile run. But I basically just texted him before we were leaving for the run this morning. And it was, it's a fun run. You're going to get to run with Coach Castor. I mean, he's a legend. And, I'm like, do you want us to wait for you? And he's like, no, you just go ahead.
Did anything else eventful happen?
No, plenty.
I mean, if you're talking, last night we sort of had it's probably jumping ahead in time, but that's what we do over here. And then we can go back to the other stuff that happened over the weekend with Solomon. But so last night first we went river rafting. So in the morning we went for a hike yesterday, and then we decided we were going to go river rafting. So we went river rafting. Carl was up on like the edge and the very last minute, like fine the whole ride. Nothing adventurous happened. We're just floating down the river. But the last part, Meg, you remember this, there's like a little bit of rapids. Carl's up on the boat. It hits a rock. He flips out and somehow smacks his head on the rocks. So he pretty much hasn't been the same since. But we get back and we decide we're going to barbecue.
Wait, hold on.
And we're
What do you mean that he hasn't been the same since? Like, is he? It's like Weekend at Bernie's type situation, or
it's like,
is he actually moving?
yeah, it's like a factory reset. I haven't seen him smile or anything since he got his head hit.
No way. Wait,
But,
so like,
yeah.
did he get knocked out, or did he just kind of whack it and then get back in the boat?
Well, I think he was playing it. I think he was playing it cool at first, and he was like, "It's not a big deal." But then, like, he was like, his head, I think, was hurting. So, but he's still trying to play it cool. I don't know. How's your head, Carl? He's got headphones on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what you do.
So we came back to barbecue, and it's Taylor, Coach Castor, Carl, myself. We grilled dogs and some brats, and we play some games out. We're playing some games outside. I made a martini for everybody before dinner, and then we had a couple other adult beverages. And we're in the back, and Castor jumps over the railing of the deck, and then is going to go inside. And I just see him. I happened to be watching what he was doing, and he went through the screen door.
Classic. Oh man, the old college going through the screen door.
This morning after our run, he went to Ace Hardware and bought like one of those tools to fix screen doors that you can do, which I was pretty impressed that he was that handy, and he reframed the screen door.
Oh wow,
MacGyver over there.
Wow, so like he busted the screen out from the door. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he went through it.
Okay.
It was crazy because you saw him. I saw him hit it. It bounced off the track, and he was like wearing the screen door for a second.
That's actually pretty awesome. Nice.
Oh man. Okay, so we have to go back in time.
There's lots of games to play at this house.
Nice. Oh, okay, exciting. But yeah, let's go.
Right,
let's go back in time to the old house, to Broken Arrow, to all of that good stuff. So what happens once you guys get there?
Yeah.
First, Robbie gives a tour of the house.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was a great house. It was awesome. So I mean, that was, up on the mountain, kind of a nice view of the valley or the mountains around it, and yeah, it was just a nice place to be. About 10 minutes from Olympic Village or Palisades, Tahoe. I don't even know what it's called. Yeah. So our first night in California, we did, at the Broken Arrow Sky Race, we had a shakeout run with Solomon. So went down to the Olympic Village. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like there's like 10 names for this place, and I never know what to call it.
There's
Tahoe,
the
Palisades, Olympic Village,
yeah,
Winter Wonderland. Wasn't there there's like a Native American name that they had to change?
It used to be Squaw Valley.
Yeah. And I feel like some of the things are still called that anyways. So we ended up down at the shakeout run, and I feel like, was that the first thing that happened that whole weekend, was our shakeout run?
Yeah. Like we got there, we got off the plane. We basically had an hour once we got to the house that we had to go to the shakeout run. So we hadn't had a chance to acclimate or anything like that. Jump right into the shakeout run, which, it was a Thursday night. So you don't know how many people are going to show up, if anybody at all. Like, it's a Thursday night in the middle of nowhere. Like, we're out in the woods. But we had a pretty decent turnout and had some fun.
Yeah. Gave away some sweet hats with like a Legionnaire flap in the back. It was pretty sweet.
Which I used on the river rafting yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah. Full coverage.
Good sun protection.
Good sunscreen on.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was I going to say, on the way there was, oh man, dude, I might feel like my brain's still fried. I'm like trying to recall past events.
Are you talking about we stopped for Mexican? Like
we did. Oh yeah. Which was good. But I know I was thinking, I went to that Ace Hardware that was by there to get a water bottle. Cause of course I forgot Rise went at the checkout counter when I was, getting a rental car. And So I had to get him a new water bottle, and I'm walking around in there, and I don't know if this is all of California or if it's just mountain town places, but I felt like there was way too many dogs. I'm like, is this a pound or is this a hardware store? It's hard to say. Just they're kind of like taking over. And then I felt like everyone I think I read this. Did I read this in the email? Everyone looked like they were in a cult or just got out of one. Like,
what does that mean?
It's like the clothing kind of makes sense, but not really. Okay. Like, you're like, that isn't something a normal person would wear. It's like all things that some people would wear, but not together.
Got it.
And looks like there may be a lot of foraging going on at some point. Definitely living off the land and sharing with others, up to and including food and wives.
Okay.
It seems like that type of situation. But yeah, Thomas, is that a vibe? Is that the general vibe of?
It's kind of like California jumps on all the stuff. So like they were the first to have hippies. They were the first to have, like even back when there was yuppies, there was that. So I kind of feel like it's all kind of meshed together and this ball of like not really having a clear understanding of what the personality is of the people mixed in with like
even serial killers was like a big one.
Yeah,
that was like I feel like they kind of put those on the map too.
They jumped on that. But but walking around, it's like people are trying to do like a surf vibe because it's by the lake. But then there's also like a gorpcore vibe of like hikers and bikers and, outdoors people. And it all gets mashed together. So you'll see like people in like, are you a surfer or are you going camping or are you a hippie kind of thing? So it can be.
And I thought the hashtag van life thing was over. I thought that was maybe like mid 2010s, and I can assure you it's still going strong. Or people just owe a lot of money on their Sprinter vans and are forced to live in them for another 5 years.
No, Sprinter van life out here is like insane.
Yeah.
Like in Tahoe,
it looks
like people have Sprinter vans that cost as much as the house.
Yeah, it looks like Mad Max, but with like it was just climbers or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we had that shakeout run that night. Then Friday, I got like 2 hours of sleep that night. Again,
Robbie, let's just go into some of the struggles that you had on this trip. Robbie started the trip.
Do we have another podcast? Is this a bonus episode?
Yeah, Robbie started the trip with like congestion and not feeling like 100%. And he had his 8-year-old son with him that they had just gone to Florida for a week, turned around, basically went to sleep the night before they came here, got on a plane. And so Robbie's
at 6 a.m. flight, by the way. So we had to get up at 4 a.m.
So Robbie's kind of dazed a little bit. And, having your son with you at the same time, he took on extra responsibilities throughout the weekend. So just getting there and was Rye having like, did he not want to eat sometimes?
Yeah, it was just, in hindsight, this was a bad idea, by the way. But whatever. It was a test of endurance. So this was his first time away from home, like without his brother, who he's best friends with, or Kimmy. And so I think that combined with the jet lag, the altitude, he was sick. Like he had a horrible cough for a week, and it persisted the whole time. And that was just combined to, I think, it's hard for anyone. It's hard for us.
Yeah, but he also had to hang like it was a bunch of adults he didn't really know, in a house. It wasn't the ideal setup for a kid. But the house was cool. It had like, it had some games there. It had like the TV there and stuff. So and a hot tub.
Yeah.
So he got that stuff. Just like when we did so after we did the shakeout the first night with Solomon, we went and we did something else where I was like, I don't know. I just got a vibe of like how the course was going to be. And originally, you had thought Rye was going to run the course with you. And I was just like, this is challenging. I think it's challenging for an adult. Like, I don't know how it would be for a kid. And so what happened?
Well, the next morning, you and Carl went up to that aid station or whatever. And then when you came off the mountain, you were like, I don't know, man, it looks a little like dicey. Yeah. And I was like, and Rye, he couldn't even run. He couldn't even hardly walk without having a coughing attack. I was like, dude, I'd say like, we had trained for it and been building up to it. We're both excited to do it, but I was like, this is just probably not a good idea. Yeah. And I was right, of course. That was.
I think it was smart so that's right. So the next day we get there, Melissa, like, she's got a restaurant background. She like cooked up everything. It was great. We had like this full setup. The next day we wake up and I'm like sitting around drinking my coffee and just enjoying the morning. It's probably like 6:30, 7 o'clock or so. And we get a call from the race director. And he's like, hey, we need you guys. Where are you guys? And I'm like, well, we'll be down a little bit because the race starts at 8:30. So we'll be like, well, we'll be down a little bit. He's like, no, you need to be at the top. So we're like, we drop everything. It's just Carl, myself, and Taylor, because Taylor is going to do the VK challenge. We just rush out of the house. We get there and we're not really thinking because we didn't know that we were supposed to be there anyway. So we end up running all over the place. And I wish I had my Strava on because we probably ran 1.5 miles just trying to find the shuttle that was going to take us to the top of the mountain. And we get there, and of course we have Taylor with us. So Taylor goes all the way to the top of the mountain where the finish is for the.
Wait, were you serious? I didn't know this. I didn't know this happened.
All the way to the top of the mountain, and then I'm like, and the whole time we're like, why would Taylor need to be at the top of the mountain? So oh my God, it was just for me and Carl to be up there to film and to take photos. So. Not only did we rush and get over there and have all this hectic running around, but then Taylor had to get back in a car and drive all the way back down to the bottom to the start.
I did not know that. Okay. Poor guy. Yeah, because Taylor was running the vertical kilometer, which we figured out is, 1,000 meters, so 3,000 feet over 3 miles or something like that.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's a straight uphill climb, like just a brutal, brutal climb. And,
dude, if you have to really see it in person to appreciate it. Like just the start, just like the start is basically people like running. Even the fastest people are basically walking.
Yeah, it looked crazy. It just looks like you're going straight up a mountain.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Exactly.
So it was a really cool event to watch, especially to be at the top and see like people. Like you had to claw your way up like a little gravelly canyon thing just to get to the top. And the Sarah Hall finish where she was in London and you see her pass the second place person to take second place. And you're like, holy cow, that's insane. One of the athletes, Mika, who ran for Stanford, I think, he ended up coming in second place or third place. I forget exactly the place, but he had to beat one of his college rivals up the hill. And
oh, wow,
it was intense. He was behind the other guy. They had about 50 to 100 feet left to go. And he just gave it everything he had to beat him to the line and collapsed at the other side of the line. But it was one of those intense finishes. So it was really cool to be up there. But that's when we were like, this mountain's no joke. It's a lot of loose gravel, a lot of loose, like the trails are not, these aren't the cushy California trails that we typically think of California, kind of those hammered down dirt trails that are pretty tame. This was like pretty aggressive stuff.
Hey, this is Thomas with your first check-in. We're up here in the mountains, and believe it or not, the altitude's getting me. I don't care what they say about heat and humidity being the poor man's altitude training. Nothing beats real altitude. And I got to tell you, Your heart starts pumping. You find yourself out of breath. And you know what you have to do is just calm down. Maybe stop, take a breath, get your heart rate down, get your breathing right, and then start up again.
Mikhail, he got third by 5 seconds. And then Jim Walmsley, of course, of Hoka and UTMB in Western States fame, he finished second, which I didn't know that it was just a tune-up for Western States.
Yeah, it is just for fun.
That's insane.
A tune-up.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. An on athlete, this guy Patrick from, he might be Kenyan. I forget where he's from.
Yeah, he's Kenyan.
Yeah, he just dominated. He just crushed it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because he won by over like a minute and a half.
Yeah. So where we really thought it was like kind of like treacherous terrain, we had to go from the top peak where we were, like Washishu or whatever, and go down to like where the gondola is so that you could ride the gondola down. And just going from that peak to the gondola, like walking, we were like, this is shaky. Like there's loose gravel, there's rocks. I was like, I wonder if Rye will be running this.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I think we could have done it together. It just would have been a long day out there, and and obviously not feeling well, that was not happening. So I'm glad we didn't. But that meant that I was able to, which was kind of cool.
Before we get to that, let's say, he didn't come on the little fun shakeout run we had that night over the trails, because that's when you really got an idea of what the trails would be like. Did he run those?
The Friday night run? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, he didn't go on that. So yeah, again, just me and, well, not me, of course, everyone that showed up to that shakeout run as well.
Yeah,
and
that was the first time
that was
we
a
got
nice
to see kind of the trails.
Yeah, that was actually on a trail. It wasn't too, it was kind of like the beginning part of the race. So just a mile out and back. And it was, somewhat rolling, but you got an idea of what you're going to be facing the next day. And that was cool. I will say there was a lot of dust kicking up on these trails, and I'm probably still coughing up dirt from that, from
especially during the race. But
yeah. So, cause race morning, by the way, the weather there is wild too. I know this, like everyone out there knows what I'm talking about, but coming from the East Coast, when you go in the morning, it was like in
cold.
The 40s, I think. Our first night there, first morning, you're wearing sweatshirt and pants, and like within 10 minutes, I felt like from our drive from our house down to it's like 80 degrees. I'm like, what? Oh, I was wearing pants, and I had to drive back to the house to get shorts because I was like, it's so hot.
Yeah, and since you're closer to the sun here, it just feels like you're getting laser beamed.
Yeah.
But so I don't know about you, Robbie, but I still, even after the second shakeout run, I felt like I was out of breath on some of the stuff. Like the elevation was definitely bugging me. So the night before, I was like, even waking up that morning, I was like, I have no idea how this race is going to go because I don't feel like I can breathe. So I was a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I actually felt pretty good that shakeout run. I don't know. I felt pretty strong. It didn't feel like the elevation was making that much of a difference. Maybe it's true. Maybe humidity is the poor man's elevation. Since I was in Florida the week before, maybe that truly did help in some way. But then, race morning, when we get there and you line up for the races, the start line is in, I don't know, to me it looks like Europe, like wherever they started at. It seemed like a
ski village.
Like if they built a model home of, I don't know, like a French town or something. I don't even know what that looks like, but it's in my head, it's what I imagine it to look like. And the start line, it goes underneath this great start out into the same trail where we were before. And I don't know about you, but I realized immediately that I made a huge mistake by starting way too far back.
Oh.
And
single track.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind it because I think it all shook out okay. Yeah, it would have been better to be like, you almost immediately, sorry, you almost immediately were in traffic, and as soon as there was an incline, like people started walking and stuff. So there was like a little bit of a conga line. But as soon as we hit the first descent where you could kind of really let loose, I just on your left, on your left, on your left, and tried to like open up space, and we were able to open it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's the bothersome part though, is I guess it would have just been in any situation, but I do love the downhill is just going super hard, and felt like I was putting on the brakes a lot in that first really long downhill, which was kind of a shame. But
yeah, that's where I kind of just let it loose.
But the dirt and the dust, man, I was like, it was like hard to see almost. There was so much dust in the air. And then you just imagine yourself breathing that in, which they did give us buffs in the, what do you call it? Like their packet pickup, which I probably should have used. That would have been good. But yeah, so then it's like up a kind of a mountain and then down one or shorter, I don't know, the side of a mountain maybe. And then you actually go up the real elevation, which was like, I don't know, 1,500 feet over a mile and a half, I guess.
Yeah, I saw the course elevation map and I was like, whoa, no, thank you.
Yeah. It was crazy because it had a lot of false summits. So like, I remember just being like on the first hill because I was like, okay, I just got to make it up to the top of this thing. And then you're like, oh, no, I got another one of those. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, no, an even steeper last one. But
yeah, and by the way, what's it? I'll just give them a shout out. There's this company called One Way that makes trekking poles. And the week before, they randomly reached out to us, or their PR did, about reviewing their trekking poles. And I said, yes, please send those if you can get these here within a couple of days. And man, I had actually never used trekking poles before. That was a lifesaver. It would have been so horrible without them.
Yeah, the trekking poles were key. And the crazy thing was, in that morning, we're like, I have the leaky poles that I've had since, for 10 years or something from when we did Trans Rockies. And I was like, I don't know, man, uphill, I always like poles so that I don't bend and hunch my back or get over my knees. I'm going to bring poles. But like Taylor, who's probably one of the more experienced trail runners in our group, was like, you don't need poles. And luckily I didn't listen to him. And luckily, either did Robbie or Carl, and they literally saved my life. Like going up those hills and be able to plant poles and go. Cause like at one point it was so steep, when you put your foot down, you went backwards a little bit because the loose gravel, it was pretty intense.
Yeah. That was a huge game changer for me. So, and I don't know. I felt like I was passing people who were struggling because they didn't have anything like that on those uphills.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I'm going up that steepest portion of the course, I'm thinking to myself, man, I really should have done those exercises that my coach Greg gave me. All those glute exercises and like core strengthening type stuff. That probably would have come in handy at this point. Yeah. But I will say, for sure, the training that I've been doing, shout out Greg from Treeline Endurance. The training I've been doing, I felt really good overall.
Yeah, I was glad that I hit the hills with John and hit some of the trails with him and Matt Kacharski when we did the trail stuff. I definitely think it helped. The one thing we couldn't plan for, like I said, was the altitude. So we started running. I was a little nervous how it was going to be. It turned out like I just got in the zone during the race, but it was kind of crazy because Robbie got out in front of everybody and he was pretty much gone. And Melissa, our trail reviewer, she had gone out ahead of everybody. So I didn't expect to see either one of them on the course. I ended up seeing Melissa on one of the hill climbs and getting up there. And I actually that surprised me. I was like, I must be feeling better than I thought I was. And when you get to the downhill part, that was great because you could kind of just let go, except for the very beginning that was so steep that, I don't know, Robbie, did you have trouble going down the very beginning?
Yeah, the beginning part was beginning part was real steep, so I just did like a zigzag down pretty much that whole thing. And then I tried to hold off going to the bathroom, but then I had to pull off and take a piss break because I was holding it the whole time. Yeah.
Did you do the ice cold sponge bath at the top?
I did do a sponge bath. I didn't know how much was left in the race or something, or like if there was more hill. I don't know if I knew it was all downhill from there, I probably wouldn't have stopped because I had some M&Ms and ate some watermelon at that aid station.
What a combo.
Yeah. Fresh watermelon.
You just climbed like almost straight up for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I got the ice sponge over my head. That was fantastic.
Dude, it was like a reset.
Yeah, it was so nice. And especially after, you're just covered in dust and dirt. So it just feels nice. But yeah, but then after you get past that first steep part, you can pretty much just bomb the downhill, and which is exactly what I did, like praying to God I did not roll my ankle on anything. Wow. I was just like, please don't. And
must have been the hat.
That's probably what it was. Yeah. Legionnaire hat came in handy. Gives me that flying spirit.
I ran with the open ear Bose things. I've never, I don't normally run a race with music, but with those you can hear and have conversations with people, and it doesn't affect it. And I have to say that was amazing. But when I did the sponge bath at the top, they're not supposed to get wet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they were like twitching on the way down, but they ended up being fine. But yeah, had a little bit of twitching. Okay. And I had passed Melissa on the incline, and Carl and Lo were behind, and I was like, oh, maybe I can chase. I said, I don't know where Robbie is. Maybe I can chase Robbie down. And so I'm coming down the mountain, and he turns out he had probably like 3 minutes on me, so I wasn't going to catch him. But right before the finish, Melissa darts by me and closes in and comes to the finish. So when I get there, the biggest surprise look on anybody's face, and I don't know why it always is surprising to Robbie, but I don't think he was expecting to see me.
I definitely wasn't. I will tell you that. I felt like I finished pretty strong. I was hoping to finish under an hour. I didn't have a time goal, but I thought an hour and a half seems like a good time goal for such a race, like 12 and a half minute miles or something like that, maybe a little bit more. And it was like 1:30:15, which if I wouldn't known, I wouldn't have stopped at aid station or taken a piss. Would have been nice to get under 1:30. But I saw you come through like 2 minutes after me, and I was like, what? Like, no offense, but when you went out, the idea in my head was that you went out, you guys said you were going to all run together. So I knew if it was you and Lo and Carl that it was going to be a chill race. I think that's why I was most surprised, because I thought you guys were all just like going to do chill pace like the whole way.
And that was the plan. What had happened was when we hit the single track, Lo and I were together. And so we were pretty much sticking together. And, I was like making sure, like I would be like, Lo, you back there? And he would call out. So like we're staying pretty close. But Carl, kind of like what you said when you were in that group that you would have started out a little faster, Carl got stuck like behind, like 10 or 15 people behind us in the single track. Mm-hmm. And at that point I knew like, okay, running together is out of the question. We just got to kind of just keep with the flow. It was because like you couldn't, like it was single track. There's no place to pull off and wait for somebody or something like that. So Lo and I were close enough that we stuck together until the incline. I think the incline, I don't know if he was like totally prepared for that, like kind of hike up. So I didn't stop. And apparently he took a couple breaks on the way up. And so once I got up there, and then once I passed Melissa at the top, I was like, well, I like downhills. I might as well run this a little bit harder. So I was like, I'm going to do it. And so I pretty much just took off. And then I think I motivated Melissa to chase me down. So she came flying down, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was definitely,
it was an awesome.
It was a tough race. The guys, the Brendan and the team at Broken Arrow, they do an amazing job. Like, it was seamless. They're putting on like 2-3 races at a time. Like, there was the 46K, the 11K, and then the following day there's 23K. The day before that was the VK. All of it was like flawless.
Yeah, I will say the execution of that race and the environment was like, I have never been to a European trail race or a festival where it's a legit like festival. And I thought, when I got there, I thought it was going to be like a local trail race. Like, I don't know, like something that's just a couple tents and like people hanging out, starting line, finish line. But it's a full on extravaganza of like vendors, food tents.
It was like every trail brand festival for running.
Yeah. And it's a cool setting too, because there's restaurants and shops all around there. And obviously it's incredibly beautiful. And the way that they had a leaderboard, a digital leaderboard, like a huge one.
Oh, wow.
That showed all the names and times as they're happening.
That's cool.
And I thought it was awesome. It's just so well done.
All the pro runners are like totally accessible. Like, they're just walking around the village all the time. As a matter of fact, the guy that won the VK challenge and ended up winning the 23K, Patrick, was, he's just hanging out. If you want to talk to him, you could go talk to him, kind of thing. Right. It was really cool. And I felt like, I don't know about you, Robbie, some of the people were like in our group were like, I would have run, like, I would have liked to have run a little further, but I thought the 11K was really good to give you like a taste of everything that was on the mountain and still be able to kind of like push a little bit. I thought it was pretty cool.
No, that was good enough for me for sure. Like, I was thinking running a 46K or whatever that people were doing. Dude,
crazy.
Like, that's speaking of which, the one dude, Spencer from the Faster Bastards here in Baltimore, he was out there.
Yeah, he ended up going on. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he ran the 46K and finished top 50.
Yeah, he was pretty psyched.
But finishing top 50 in that race against that kind of field coming from Baltimore, I think he was East Coast podium is what he said, which is a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
That is awesome.
All right, second check-in. I'm going to stick with the altitude since I'm out here. And I was a little nervous about race day because the second day I was out here, I still couldn't get my breath. I'd start running, maybe get a half mile in, a quarter mile in, and all of a sudden my heart would start racing, my breath would get heavy. And again, I had to just gather my head, I don't even know if gathering my head is a word. I had to calm down and gather myself and then kind of reassess where I was, either slow down the pace or, just take a break and let your heart get back down. Either way, fight through, don't give up, and keep going.
Okay, Thomas, let's talk about our sponsor, LMNT.
I'm so addicted to this stuff. I don't know how it happened. When I first started drinking, I was like, it's too salty. And now I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, so they now have LMNT Sparkling, which comes in cans. It's the same zero sugar electrolyte formula that was in the powder, but now it comes in a can with bubbles.
And we've been doing that before they even had the cans. We started mixing the powders with like seltzer.
Yeah, and it's perfect during the summer when the temps are rising, you're sweating more, you need to replenish those electrolytes, especially sodium, which LMNT is known for having a bunch of. So our listeners can get a free LMNT sample pack with the purchase of any mix order. Just go to drinklmnt.com/thedrop.
He ended up going on a hike with us yesterday and then ended up coming on the river rafting trip with us. So we spent a lot of time with him. Awesome. He's actually, I told him he needs to talk to you. He's had some of the stuff that's gone on with him parallels some of the stuff in your life. So I think you guys.
It sounds like you're having adult camp over there. We went
are.
hiking, river rafting, drinking martinis. Like,
I mean,
what
it
a
was
tough
awesome.
life you have.
Yeah, so we all went and spectated the 23K the following day. And then we went out. Was that yesterday or the day? I guess it was the day after that. Robbie, were you around for the 23K?
Yeah, well, I spectated the 23K, but in a different way because me and Ryan took the tram to the top of that mountain.
Oh,
and
that's right.
watched.
That's what we did that day.
Yeah, because you guys were doing the climbing experience
Dude,
or whatever. So
we did the Via Ferrata through Alpenglow Adventures or whatever. It was so much fun. You basically go up into the mountain and they have like all the cables and stuff already planted in the rock face. So you just have like a harness on that you clip into for safety, but then you're just like climbing like barefaced, like it's climbing for dummies. I think like we're up on the side of
it's
the rock.
yeah. Like it's just like
But it looked like you were walking on wires, like almost like we did here in Baltimore and through the forest.
It is somewhat like that, but you're on the side of a mountain face.
So a little bit better views, I guess.
The views were better, but it was just cool. Like
Carroll County, yeah.
You're literally like hundreds of feet up in the air, like on the side of a rock face that if you weren't cabled in, like I would be like having high anxiety. But we did that. I love that. I'd highly recommend if you're at one of these mountain towns where they have a Via Ferrata, definitely check it out. It's really cool. How they started off is during World War II, it was a way for them to move troops through the Alps. So they would put like ladders and stuff into the mountain face so that troops could get around. And so this is the, modern version of that where you can kind of like get through really kind of crazy terrain, but in a semi-safe way.
They should have made you wear large canvas duffel rucksacks and
Definitely
carry carbines around with you
double machine guns.
Replicate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when we got back to the village, I guess Robbie was getting ready to leave and head to the airport. So he was going to be on the Dylan Bowman Free Trail show. So instead, I filled in for Robbie.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun.
Did that go all right?
What's that?
And how'd that go?
It was a lot of fun. Like, I didn't know Tim Tollefson was going to be on there. Corinne, who's coaching Alex Walker for the Adidas Terex trip to Austria, was one of the hosts. And then, of course, Dylan Bowman. And it was just kind of cool because, Dylan, we've crossed paths through different, projects through Believe in the Run and Big Run Media and that kind of stuff. And so to finally kind of like sit down and meet him and talk to him is fun. I feel like where Dylan is with Free Trails, the equivalent on the roadside would be like Sidious Mag. I think it's like we kind of fit all together well because you have Free Trail over here doing the trail stuff, and you have Sidious over here doing track and field and road running, and then you have us who are like focused on gear and culture. And I just think it's fun when we all get together because like the missing pieces.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it seemed I would have liked to be on it, unfortunately, but had to get out of there.
I'm not sure. I might be doing another show with them before the end of this weekend.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah, because you're still out there for Western States.
Yeah.
I sent the guys because I think it's Free Trail. Yeah, that's what I saw it on Instagram. They're hosting a beer mile. And so I sent it to the guys this morning. I said, who's going to, no one responded. I just assumed no one wanted to do it.
You have to do it.
No, Taylor asked me if I wanted to do it because he's going to do it. And look, I'm not going to be fasted. I can't chug beer and my mile time probably isn't that fast anyway. And up here in the altitude, but why not go have fun, chug a beer, couple 4 beers and run around.
Yeah, just puke it up afterwards.
It's a beer mile. There's no expectations on time. Come on.
Well, no, but it gets crazy. What's the what time is that?
What time is the event?
The beer mile. Is that today or when?
I don't know. Sometime on Thursday, I think.
All right, Thursday. All right. Yeah.
When's the
I think
actual
Taylor
race?
and
Is it
I
on
are up for
Saturday?
it.
Saturday morning at 5
Wait,
a.m.
you won't do it, Megan,
Okay.
will you?
No, I've never. I've tried, and I can't do it. I can't drink 4 beers.
What does that mean?
He's too tiny.
It means I won't drink 4 beers. I can't get it down. Like I remember the last time I tried, I was drinking a beer on my last lap, and I physically was just like dumping it over my face, and it was just going everywhere because I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, disqualified.
Yeah, I got DQ'd real fast.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
the house we were staying in, the Western States Trail, ran pretty much right behind it,
Yeah. That's cool.
which is cool.
So once we were done with the interview with Free Trails, we were pretty much done with our Solomon weekend of Broken Arrow Trail Series kind of obligations. We got invited to go back to the athlete's house for a barbecue, but all of us were like pretty tired by that point. And so we just went and I think we went and got Mexican and then just called it a night. Like we went to the
By
place.
the way, what shoe? Sorry, real quick, not to interrupt, but it just made me remember. What shoe did you run in for the race?
Oh, during the 11K, I wore the Genesis, not the S Lab Genesis, the regular Solomon Genesis.
Right. Yeah. So did I. Okay. And then I think Taylor and Lowe were the S Lab, Pulsar.
Yeah, S Lab Pulsar.
Yeah.
And Carl was in the Genesis too.
The Genesis was really nice. I really liked it for that terrain and kind of.
I think it's
going
really
fast, but
yeah. Would you call it a really solid? I felt like if it was a daily trainer, it was a daily, like that was your basic daily trainer for the trails, where it was good enough for all the different technical stuff. But like the Pulsar is certainly a light, fast design for like a fast turnover.
Right.
The Genesis was more like your like cruising stuff, but I liked it. It felt light. The grip was good enough.
Yeah, it was good fit, good fitting upper, which always matters on the trails.
Is that a matrix
that was
upper?
nice.
It is a matrix upper, isn't it?
It is, yeah. For a relatively, I think the Genesis 2 is like 150, so not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Solomon was selling a ton of shoes at their little tent.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. For sure. But yeah, so I guess that was pretty much it for the Solomon part. I want to hear about Meg's race though, because I know we've yapped people's ears off, and I really have been dying to know because I just saw some things on your Strava, and I'm trying to decode what it meant.
Things on my Strava.
Like it was like a
more your
picture
story,
of
probably.
Oh, my Instagram.
Yeah, and it was like pretty much how my day went.
Oh, yeah. I think I said it was as tragic as it looked. So I ran the Baltimore Women's Classic 5K on Sunday morning. And
is this a big race or is it like
it's sold out? I want to say there was
okay.
a couple thousand women there.
Oh wow! So it is.
It's hosted by Charm City Run, and New Balance is the sponsor. And we worked with them and chatted with some of the women who have run it in the past. And they used to do this campaign every year where they would select one of the women to go run the New York City Marathon at the 5K. And so we helped promote that since we work with New Balance a lot and the marathon and all that good stuff. So anyway, I ran it as it was supposed to be just like part of training, but in my mind, I haven't raced a 5K in like 5 years. So I'm like, easy day, I'm going to PR because I mean, how could I not? So I'm thinking I'll wear a New Balance shoe since it's a New Balance event. And that evening, the Pacer shows up.
Pacer
Didn't
2.
know it was coming. Pacer 2.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I got to wear it. Amazing shoe, by the way. I'm sure we'll talk about it more later once you guys have it. But absolutely loved it.
Just got it, so yeah.
Wait, Robbie, you got it?
It must be coming for you too then, T.
All right.
But so I'm in the morning, I'm like about to jog over and I'm like, let me just make sure it's a 7:30 a.m. start. And so I checked the website, yes, 7:30, and I'm scrolling down and I see that there's prize money. And I was like, what? They've definitely never had prize money before.
Really?
So I'm jogging over and I'm like, I wonder like who's going to be here? Like what kind of competition will be here? And I'm standing at the start line and I'm like looking around and I noticed like some local girls that are very fast. And then I noticed this one girl who's like in Vaporflies, who I've never seen in my life. She's got tats. She looks super fast. And I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm like, this is going to be an interesting day. So mind you, it's like 90 degrees and 1000% humidity. Field goes off. I'm like, let me just try and stay with the front pack here. And immediately the one girl who I'd never seen in my life puts like 30 seconds on the field in the first mile.
No way.
Like is just gone. And I'm like running and I just, you know when like your head's not in it? Like I was like, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to be running this fast. I don't love this. I'm in weird streets of Baltimore. Like no one's around. I'm in no man's land. And I could barely hold like what I've run a half marathon faster than I ran the 5K pace.
At this point, were you in second place?
Never.
Oh,
not
okay.
even once was I close to that.
Okay.
But I was in 5th until the last turn, which is maybe like 100 yards. And this 44-year-old woman passes me like I am walking to the finish. And I was like, this is my day. But anyway, you finish, they give you a cold towel, a rose, and a medal. And I like walk over to the sidewalk.
So it's like your own Bachelorette episode.
Yeah.
Nice.
I walked over to the sidewalk and I was getting out my phone to text Thomas and my mom, and I put everything down on the ground and I just looked at it's like a rose and this towel and that's the photo that I posted on Instagram, and I was like, it's as tragic as it looks, because it was just not my day.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the results and anytime you run a 5K almost it's almost as fast as, I mean, like it's just a little bit faster than my PR, I know it's not a good day for you. Yeah, that's
well, I have to laugh at myself too, though, that I was like, oh, I'll easily PR, like not even close.
No, yeah, because what is your PR in the 5K?
I was surprised because
1840 something.
Okay,
I was actually,
but from 5 years ago.
Right.
Sorry, T, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was surprised. Like normally, even if Megan has somewhat of a disappointing race or something like that, she's like shrugs it off or whatever. And I was surprised that this one bothered you as much as it did, especially since you aren't a 5K person. Like, why was this more defeating to you than normal?
It's just hard to fathom, I think, how like it's 3 miles and I couldn't hold I ran 10 miles in a race a few weeks earlier at a 10-second difference pace, like per mile.
Like your tempo runs are faster.
Yeah, like I've strung together 3 miles faster than that, like on a different day. So it's just like
you said the temps were 90. The real field was 101, like 101 degrees. Like that's
not at that hour, I don't think.
I don't know. Check your Strava. Like that's ridiculously hot. And I know you found 5 other people to beat you in that heat, but the amount of time that you're like training, traveling, and doing all the stuff you're doing in that kind of heat, I still felt like, hey, that's a good effort. And
Strava says,
my mind would be like, screw it.
Strava said the feels like was 81, accurate or not?
Felt like a million. There was also a really nice hot breeze on the way up. Which was nice.
There's also a lot of turns.
Jumped in the harbor afterwards.
Oh,
you guys know everyone did that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Are they still living, those people? I haven't heard from them.
That is true. We don't know.
Yeah.
They're all at the Hopkins ER. They've been there for 48 hours.
Somebody made a meme of, do you remember the little guy that used to be on Different Strokes?
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, they took Gary, turned him green, and said, What's Brandon Scott says there's no problem with swimming in the harbor. Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to swim in the harbor. I'm just not doing it. Like, unless we're taking a boat far out there, I'm not jumping in.
No, I will say, I don't care. And I'm someone who has jumped into some gross stuff.
You're not doing it?
The thing is, I've seen, like, we all run along the water. You see the floating condoms, the disgusting, like, chip bag, like, just all the gross trash that is in there. And I'm like, I don't care if you roped off this one section. Like, I know
it's water. It's water.
I just too close to the city. Like, get me a mile out and I'll consider it. But it's just too close to the outflow of like where I know it comes out at, like across from Safeway. Like, that's where everything comes out from the east side. And dude, where they jumped off at, that's where all the dead bodies float to when right there at the Fells Point Pier. Like, it's the same place where like they are always pulling bodies out of there.
Oh, not always.
Okay, like twice a year. It's twice a year in any other city is all.
Remember how we were hyping up Baltimore? Stock just went way down again.
Well, just to clarify, it's not people who are murderers, like people who drunkenly fall in off like at night coming back from Fells Point most of the time.
Those two people.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could jump in it, to be honest.
No.
But
it's a hard
I mean, maybe in a few years.
Well, I mean, if there's money on the line, I'll do it in a second. If you give me $10, I'll probably do it.
All right, final check-in. I was really nervous about the altitude. 2 days. My heart was pumping out of my chest. I couldn't catch my breath. And I was like, how am I going to do an 11K? And even when I was lined up at the start of the race, I was like, oh no. But guess what? Third day, stuff settled in. I got in the groove with the race. I had a phenomenal day. I really loved this race. Had a great time. The whole time, it was tough. Was my heart pounding? Yeah, but I got through it. And I didn't even really need to take breaks. I just crushed up and did what I had to do. And next thing you know, I was done and had a phenomenal day. So all that worrying was for nothing. So if you have a race coming up and you're training and you're worried about your splits in the heat, or say that you're in the altitude and you're worried about your performance right now, just relax. Things will come together. Just let it flow.
All right, Thomas, let's talk about one of our sponsors today, Cheribundi.
I love that tart cherry juice.
Yeah, so tart cherries are the most antioxidant-rich superfruit and also the only superfruit to contain a natural melatonin. The combination of high antioxidants, which helps reduce inflammation, and the natural melatonin, which helps regulate sleep cycle, is what creates the really powerful all-natural recovery.
There's the pure, there's the sleep. So they add melatonin to the sleep?
Yep. And so we've been using the concentrate pouches, the original, we throw them in the freezer, take them after a workout, and it's quite a delicious treat.
Especially in these hot summer months.
Yeah, so not only does it reduce inflammation and recover faster, it can help you sleep better. It's just really good stuff.
Yeah, and people ask when you need to take it, and it's one of those things that builds up in your system. So, if you're using it daily, it's going to help with that inflammation, help you recover faster, and help you just feel better.
Also, it tastes delicious, like we said. So if you want to grab some, go to cheribundi.com, use the code THEDROP for 20% off.
If you drop something in the water, he'd be in there for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Scavenger hunt.
So I was going to say, I was trying to look up the leaders of the race that won on the race, the women's classic.
Yeah.
Does it frustrate you when there's you see somebody on a leaderboard and you're trying to find their Instagram or Strava and it just doesn't exist? And you're like, no, I need to know.
But I looked them up. I figured out most of them.
You did?
Like the winner is from Syracuse or something. She's cross country. She was very fast.
Well, she lives in Maryland.
Hannah.
This person?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's cross country. Hannah races here all the time. She's super fast, no TQ'er. The other one I didn't know.
Okay.
Oh, and Claire, who runs with Believe Run Club.
Okay, yeah.
Fourth.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
But should we talk about this shoe.
Oh yeah, we probably
Unless
should.
you want to say anything about trials real quick.
No, we can recap that next week maybe a little bit
I will
because
say-
it's still happening.
Okay.
Right.
But Robbie wants to say something.
So I was on Instagram and I saw Sidious Mag. Obviously, they're posting everything about the trials, and they posted the race where Thing Mo got tripped up and fell.
We watched that one live.
And okay, yeah, which is obviously it's a huge bummer. But they posted like the photo of the winner, and then they posted her where she was crying because she had just lost. And it was so interesting because the comment section was like, "Take this down immediately." Like at all the comments were like, "This is disrespectful. Like this doesn't need it. You don't need to do this." And I'm like,
why?
I was just like so confused because they're like, this is a personal moment for her. Like she didn't make the team. Like you shouldn't be posting stuff like this. And I'm like,
that's all part of it.
No, this is part of the sport.
That's the sport. Like it's like you capture the highs. That's what makes sport, bittersweet. That's what makes racing so amazing is that it has those highs and lows, and obviously it's horrible. Like that's, she was definitely who we're all rooting for, I think. But yeah, just to see, to me, that's like way more powerful. Like, I don't know what they were supposed to, people were like, you could have posted a better photo. And I'm like, of her being happy like that. Like what photo would you use? I don't understand. I was just like, there's some things when I'll see comments about, and I'm just like shocked. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm just on a different level. I don't know if it's a generational thing, like a Gen Z versus a
I think they
millennial.
took it down.
Did they really?
I don't see it.
See, I also don't like that because it's like if you're gonna do
don't
journalism,
fold.
then stand by it.
And the thing is,
I mean, I'm sorry, but I just
that's not
disagree with that.
offensive.
Yeah, and it's actually, and it was the dude, what's his name, Jay Snaps, that does all the photos for them. It was a great photo. Like it was good. It captured like the emotion of the sport. Yeah. And honestly, that's a shame that they took that down because whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not everyone wins. Like that's what happens. I don't know.
But I think that it also is
it's
the beauty of the sport. Like they used to start what was it? ABC's Wide World of Sports, the agony of defeat, like all those things. They would list out what was great about sport, and one of them is how far emotionally it can take humans. Like we spend so much time, training or whatever, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. I don't know about you guys, but there's been several races, several marathons that I've run that didn't end up the way that I hoped with my training or hoped with that. And it's part of the sport. And if you're going to be on the public stage like that, going after the Olympic trials, I think that reporting that and showing that is part of the tapestry of the whole event.
Yeah. Well, like, that, remember that Nike commercial with the killers? It was like for the Olympics, like in 2010 or something. And it was showing 2008. It was showing all those moments of defeat contrasted with victory. It's like the falling down, pulling up, with a hamstring tear in the middle of a race, or Michael Jordan crying after his, winning, but his dad had just died, like those things. And it's like, that's all. Our light went out, but that's all part. Like that's what makes sport, like you said, so great is the juxtaposition of defeat versus winning and coming back and rebounding and and
also like so Mo won't be in the Olympics, but like I'm sure that her career isn't over and that we'll see her succeed somewhere else.
Oh, for sure. I mean, is she like 22 or something ridiculous? I don't know. Maybe older than that, but
I don't know. There's a kid that's running in this thing that's 16 years old that's like blowing everybody away.
16, I know.
Oh, right, yeah. She is 22. Yeah, she's 22. So it's like she has so much time ahead of her.
I think it's the Olympics. Like you have to wait another 4 years, kind of thing, which is devastating. But,
I get it.
But yeah, like you guys are saying, this is all part of sport.
And I also think that the kids who are going into track, you want them to see this. Like this is what it means to put everything out there and sometimes it doesn't go your way, and learn that lesson that you don't always win.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing for somebody who covers track like that to not show all sides of it, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's just my take.
Hot take from Robbie.
Yeah, there you go. I won't even go into the pre-trail thing, but we'll save that for next week.
Yeah. Okay, real quick before we go, let's chat. Asics Superblast 2, which is in.
I think this is
came
probably
off
one of
embargo
the
Wednesday.
most anticipated shoe releases of
Yeah.
2024. Like,
I was
people
just
are
gonna say
excited
that.
about this.
So because you guys were traveling, Asics was kind enough to send these to us a little early. And as soon as they arrived, I did every single run in them except for the race. So I already have logged 40 miles on this guy. And I have to say, I'm really liking it.
Okay, nice.
It's, I guess the big update is just that the foam is now what they use in the Paris Edge and Sky.
Okay.
So it's a little bit lighter, a little bit bouncier. To me, it feels like the original Superblast, but just like a little squishier. Because you know how like the Superblast, one of the things I think we knocked about it was that it took a break-in period, and it wasn't that like responsive. It was kind of felt more like, I don't know how to describe it, but not bouncy. Whereas this one, I felt like out of the box to me felt bouncy.
Yeah, I don't know if
Okay,
I would call
that's
it
good to know.
bouncy. I think it does feel really familiar to the one. If you like the one, you're gonna like this. It's
Yeah.
not a drastic change. Maybe there's a little more give in the turbo, but for the most part, I think the upper is better fitting. At first, I was a little worried about the upper because it looks more like a daily trainer upper, but it fits really well. I thought it's a nice change. It does gain a tiny bit of weight on this one, but it feels so similar to the first one. I wouldn't notice it. And the thing, I kind of do like this upper better than the previous model.
Yeah, the upper, actually haven't worn it yet. I just got it, but I could tell the upper. I'm gonna like the upper more. So I was under the impression that I thought the Flight Foam Turbo Plus or Turbo in the last version, I thought it was all Flight Foam Turbo. Is that not the case?
No, it's not. On the original one, remember, see where kind of the line is on the sole there? If you get the original one, that was
right.
Blast Plus.
That's right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's the same thing with this. Okay.
Is it though? Is that not turbo at the bottom?
Yeah, it says it on the spec sheet. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, what's it say?
Flight Foam Blast Plus Eco on the bottom, or in that bottom layer.
Which is the foam in what other shoes?
Like the
Nimbus?
The new Magic Speed 4 has it. So yeah, I've only done 8 miles in it. I did 8 miles today on a nice trail that ran along the Truckee River with Coach Castor and Carl. And it feels nice and lively on the foot. It feels light on the foot, even though it gained a little bit of weight. They did a really nice job with it. The rubber, I think, is going to be something that people on the outsole are going to appreciate. They kind of upgraded that a little bit. Yeah, I really like it. If people who like the Superblast, they're going to be excited because it doesn't really change it that much. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, they ruined that perfect shoe that everybody thought was like a do-it-all shoe. This remains right in the same zone. You're going to like it if you like the last one.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because there's not like anything that exciting about it. Like there's no carbon fiber plate. There's no, I don't know, exciting thing. But it's so easy to lace up and go for a run. Like it's just like, if I don't know what I want to wear and I'm going out for any type of run, I'm like, you can pick this up.
Well, that's the thing I like about a shoe like this is like, if you're going out and you get out there and you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. This shoe is fine. It'll get you through the run. But if you get out there and you're like, you know what, I'm feeling a little peppy today. Let me just throw in some tempo. This shoe can do it. And I definitely, for longer runs, this shoe is just so easy on the legs and on the body that it's like a perfect choice for, if I could only have one shoe, it's probably a shoe like this or this shoe.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, it's off embargo this week. I think, do you remember when it comes out?
July.
July 1.
I don't know if it's July 1, but it's in July.
July 5th. July 5th.
Okay, so coming out next week once this podcast airs.
Right after Independence Day.
That's the day after July 4th.
Yep. All right. And by the way, our summer grit party, we didn't even mention that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy. July 1, Monday.
Dude, you have to come out. If you're anywhere near here, you got to come out.
Yeah.
Free at Ekeben, Mobtown Beers, hang out. It's going to be amazing.
You're going to be able, the Superblast 2 is going to be one of the demos, but I get there early because they only have a limited number of pairs to demo. It will be at the demo. We're going to be starting a Charm City run in Fells Point, and you'll be able to demo shoes. They'll have a bag drop where they'll bring your bags over to Mobtown. So you'll be able to run from there to Mobtown, which is about 3 miles. And then we're going to have our grit party, the summer grit party kicked off. Free beers from Mobtown, free Ekeben. If you know what Ekeben is, then you know that this is like, you know, this is the shizzle. And then you'll be able to grab your bag and get some Asics swag, water bottles, shirts, that kind of stuff. At that place and just party and hang out with people from the running community.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome time.
All right. We've chatted entirely too long this afternoon, but hopefully everyone enjoyed the recaps. And yeah, I'm going to be out with Thomas in California when this airs.
And Carl.
Leave tomorrow. And Carl.
Yeah.
And Taylor.
We're going to be talking about some of the stuff going on at Western States, doing a shakeout run with Hoka, probably this beer mile thing. And then I've been wearing the Tecton X 2.5, which they're kind of launching here at Western States. You can check out the review. I think Robbie already put it up. I'm going to try to shoot a video review of it with Carl today, just going over the shoe. And you're probably like, why do I care about this shoe? There's only 100 pairs made, and I'm not going to be able to get them anyway. You're right. But the Tecton 3.0 is coming out, and it shares a lot of the similar things.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
That's it. All right, people.
All right.
Hi, Mom.
See you, Thomas.
See you soon.